Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Kelsey Lemon, Technical Marketing Manager for the Cloud Management Business Unit here at VMware, and I want to welcome you to our webinar where we're going to show how Skyline's integration with vRealize Operations Cloud combines the best of both worlds, management and support. And so, with that, a few housekeeping items before we begin today. We're going to be in listen only mode for today's webinar, but I'm going to be monitoring your questions, so feel free to use that Q&A option at the bottom of the screen there. So here's the agenda for today. I'm going to give a quick overview of Skyline, and then I'm going to take a moment to talk about Skyline's integration with vRealize Operations Cloud before walking through a few examples on how you can extend upon this integration with some simple customizations that will make your day-to-day work even easier. So with that, let's just jump right in and do that refresher on the value of Skyline, its role in the overall support experience, and its integration with many of the VMware tools that you're already using today. As a customer, I'm sure you're all very familiar with the reactive support scenario, right? You experience an issue in your environment, you open an SR with VMware, and then our tech support team troubleshoots and works with you to solve that issue. Well, VMware Skyline is actually the next step in that process, meaning that it's actually a proactive support technology, meaning that it can actually help you avoid issues before they happen in the first place. Skyline also helps resolve existing issues faster. So, say for example, if you've opened a case with us, our tech support engineers can use Skyline to view your environment specific configurations, right? And then that can actually use data-driven analytics to speed discovery and ultimately drive faster resolution times. And speaking of environment specific configurations, Skyline recently started to support VMware Cloud Foundation 4.1 and higher. And as you all know, VCF is the industry's leading hybrid cloud platform. And with this new level of support, right, Skyline will identify VCF management and workload domains and surface VCF solution-based proactive findings. And then there's support for existing tools like vSphere, NXX, vSAN, Horizon, as well as vRealize Operations Manager. And there's also a management pack for Skyline that you can actually use within vRealize Operations Manager. And I'm going to be talking about that. But here's the best part. Skyline is available at no additional cost if you have an active production or premier support contract, and it's also available with Success 360. And I'm also happy to say that Skyline is now included within vRealize Cloud Universal subscriptions as well. So with that, let's talk about that integration with Skyline, the integration between Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud, and talk about how these two products blend management into that support experience. But before I go into the feature deep dives, I want to set some context about why this integration was done. By unifying the self-service experience between Skyline and vRealize Operations Manager, the on-prem counterpart to vRealize Operations Cloud, this has always been a top customer request. A lot of customers like yourselves are using Skyline and vRealize Operations Manager side by side and have said that this integration would be helpful in informing their early warning and remediation plans. And I'm happy to say that you can actually do this now and be more proactive and perform advanced troubleshooting in a single SaaS-based workflow without needing an additional support. And so by weaving Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud data together, we can actually give you that connected experience, right? Complete with deeper troubleshooting and automated actions that you've all been requesting. So the bottom line is that you now have expanded issue avoidance capabilities where you can actually use Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud data together to identify constrained resources. You have access to deeper troubleshooting where Skyline's findings and recommendations can actually connect you to the environment overview page of vRealize Operations Cloud where you can see the status of your objects and you can actually automate workflows by clicking on an object's finding within Skyline and getting recommended actions from the alerts that vRealize Operations Cloud provides. Now for the meat of the demo, proactive findings. These are environment-specific issues that could potentially disrupt the day-to-day business that you have and give you a lot of headache if you don't take action to address them. Now, it's important to note that I said environment specific because this is actually the value of Skyline. Many customers like you who thought they had stable environments were surprised to see that after they implemented the service, they were vulnerable to dangerous risks such as L1 terminal fault or Spectre meltdown. And after these customers had those aha moments, Skyline was able to help inform the next steps in their risk management plan. So let's look at one of my findings here. As you can see, it's presented in an easy to read card format. And when I click on it, I see a couple things. I see a unique finding ID that can be used in discussions internally or with VMware Global Support Services. I see the level of severity, as well as a description of the potential issue discovered within my environment. I even get an indication to the risk to this environment if the recommended action is not completed. I also get a list of all of the objects that could be impacted by this potential issue. And most importantly, I get a recommendation on how to resolve that potential issue, including hyperlinks to VMware knowledge base articles, security advisories, and other official VMware documentation. Now, this specific finding indicates that I'm vulnerable to PSOD because my IPv6 is disabled on my ESXi host. In addition to this, Skyline provides additional information about my infected objects as well. Clicking on one of the hosts will allow me to see the version number, CPU and memory allocation, CPU and memory usage, as well as hardware and virtual hardware information. So if I'm asked to pull this information, I can always come to Skyline to grab it. I can also use keyword searches to zero in on specific findings. Here's one that I like to show. It's an HTML related finding. And when I click on it, I see that it's a critical finding that could potentially cause data inconsistency. Many customers aren't aware that removing a virtual machine folder from inventory will also delete virtual machines that aren't powered on when using vSphere's HTML5 client. Now, this issue was resolved in vCenter 6.5, but I'm currently running 6.0, and I want to postpone that upgrade until I get more information. But there's a workaround that I can do while I get more information about the upgrade in the attached knowledge base article, which recommends using a Flash-based Flex client. Now, clicking on Upgrade Recommendations displays all of the recommendations from your environment. And these are important because they often include critical patches to security holes that make your environments vulnerable to harm. And they're sorted by vCenter server. And if there are multiple upgrade recommendations, they are displayed in the order of upgrade sequence. So in this example, the two ESXi hosts managed by this particular vCenter server has two upgrade recommendations, including the minimum build number of each version. So in this case, if I upgrade it to minimum build number of ESXi 6.5U3, I would resolve 19 potential issues discovered by Skyline within my environment. But if I decide to upgrade to a higher version than what is recommended, then the automatic product interoperability check will be invalidated. And speaking of interop, you may be asking yourself if performing the recommended upgrades will actually break connections to other VMware solutions that you're running. And this is a very real fear that prevents a lot of IT managers from doing those upgrades. As a matter of fact, I recently read in a survey that 31% of companies running Windows are on the latest operating system, with 60% of those running Windows versions that no longer receive regular support. And with that fear in place, I'm very happy to say that Skyline automatically checks product interoperability for the upgrade recommendation. Clicking on Show Details next to the upgrade recommendation displays additional information, which includes product interoperability results. The product interoperability check will also alert you if another product is not interoperable with that upgrade recommendation. So this way, you are made aware if another product needs to be upgraded first before performing the recommended upgrade to proactively, remediate those potential issues, again, that could have that very negative impact on the environments that you're managing. And with that, I'm going to now move over to operational summary reports, or OSRs. And I should point out here that OSRs are only available to our Premier Service customers. OSRs contain advanced findings and recommendations that come in two types of reports. The standard report is automatically generated every 2 weeks, and it's basically a snapshot of all the proactive findings that Skyline provides. And it comes in two downloadable versions. There's a Word document that gives a listing of the findings, and a zip file that includes that same Word document of the findings, and a CSV file that identifies all of the affected objects. And right underneath that, those are the custom reports, and they are created at your request by a support account manager that gets assigned to you as part of your Premier subscription benefit. So for example, if you want to see all of the CPU vulnerability issues flagged by Skyline, your support account manager can help generate it for you, and it's going to appear right here. And what I like about OSRs is that they are ideal for communicating up, right? Or for facilitating those C-level briefings on the health of the environment that I'm managing, as well as my recommendations on either improving or maintaining that health. And so with that, I'm going to pause right here for a second because I'm going to shift the conversation a bit. Up until this point, I've been talking about Skyline's proactive and self-service capabilities to keep the environments that you manage out of harm's way. But there may be times when you need to react to an issue that is disrupting the environments that you manage, and our support team is here to help. And Skyline can actually facilitate your interaction with our support team and even speed up time to resolution. And this is where the log assist feature comes into play. After you've submitted a support request, Skyline Log Assist will actually streamline the process of manually gathering and uploading those log bundles that our TSEs will need to help troubleshoot your issue. And so let me expand my inventory here so that I can attach a log bundle from one of my impacted objects. And since the SR has already been created, I can simply select it and attach my log bundle by initiating a log transfer. And at that point, I'm done. In less than 2 minutes, I've created a log bundle and I've sent it to support. You may have heard us mention that customers are reporting a 30% time saving when creating log bundles, and this is how they're doing it. And with that, I can actually get back to more meaningful work now. And if I want to save myself even more time, I can even let VMware's TSEs create the log bundle for me with this log transfer request feature. I even have the option to approve or reject the request. And there's even an option to auto-approve requests from our TSC team as well. And to keep tabs on the status of your SRs associated with the log bundle transfers, you can see them in the log library. Here you can see who initiated the transfer, whether it's by you or by VMware, and you can even see when it was done. Now let me show you how Skyline integrates management with support via its operational overview dashboard. Here, you get insight into the day-to-day operations of the environments that you proactively manage, including its inventory, as well as configuration overviews of your clusters, hosts, and even virtual machines. So let's take a look at 3 workflows that show the power of VMware Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud, starting with its expanded issue avoidance capabilities. Within Skyline, you have insight into the status of distributed resource scheduling and high availability within vSphere. With this insight, vRealize Operations Cloud can be used to help you identify the most constrained resources, including CPU, memory, and even disk performance. It can even help you plan for scenarios that require additional capacity and new workloads. And when it comes to deeper troubleshooting, Skyline's findings and recommendations will send you to the environment overview page of vRealize Operations Cloud, where you have access to your entire inventory of objects and even get insight into their state of health, risk, and efficiency. And finally, VMware Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud give you the ability to automate the remediation of some of Skyline's findings and recommendations through its integration of object detail information. Clicking on an applicable object's findings and recommendations within VMware Skyline will take you directly to the same object's information within vRealize Operations Cloud, where you can start to act on specific alerts, such as enabling DRS with just a few clicks. These are just a few of the workflows that show how VMware Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud work better together. Now let's talk about how you can get even more value out of Skyline's integration with vRealize Operations Cloud by leveraging the management pack for Skyline. So what's the management pack and what does it do, right? Well, in a nutshell, the management pack provides a single pane of glass for Skyline reported findings within vRealize Operations Cloud. And once it's configured, you can do a couple of things. Skyline findings are converted into alerts within vRealize Operations Cloud, and then they're mapped to corresponding objects. You also get access to more dashboards that allow you to view findings related to specific vCenter adapters. And finally, you can actually view those findings based on severity and category. So in this demonstration, I'm going to show a couple of things. I'm going to show how you can install and configure the management pack. I'm going to show you how you can identify Skyline alerts within vRealize Operations Cloud, as well as how you can take specific actions on them. And then finally, I'm going to show you how you can access the additional dashboards that come with the pack as well. Now on to the demo. The management pack is not installed by default, so odds are if you click on a finding in Skyline, you won't see the corresponding alert within vRealize Operations Cloud. So let's go ahead and install it. You can get the vRealize Operations Management Pack for Skyline from the Marketplace, which is under the Administration tab within vRealize Operations Cloud. And after it's been downloaded and installed, you can view the contents. And as you can see, there are quite a number of Skyline-specific content, such as dashboards, views, alerts, recommendations, and symptoms that get installed as part of the process. And once your account information has been added, you can take advantage of more advanced options such as filtering which alerts you want to see, either by severity or by category. And since I want to see everything, I won't apply any filters. Now let's go back into Skyline and I'm going to pick on my favorite finding, NTP. When I select the affected objects, vRealize Operations Cloud is launched and I can see even more information. Now when I click on alerts, I see my Skyline finding along with recommendations and even symptoms. I can even take it a step further and do a few things such as canceling the alert, suspending the alert, assigning its remediation to a member of my team, or taking ownership of the alert and resolving it myself by launching my vSphere client within vRealize Operations Cloud. And with that, let's take a look at the last feature that the management pack provides, Skyline-specific dashboards, and you get two right out of the box, alert details and the overview dashboard. Now, while they can't be edited, they can be moved around, expanded, and placed wherever you like. And in this example, I'm modifying the overview dashboard that shows Skyline findings by severity and category. Now, before I conclude this demonstration, I want to go into more detail about how Skyline and its management pack integrate with both vRealize Operations Cloud and vRealize Operations Manager. As you know, VMware Skyline integrates directly with vRealize Operations Cloud, while the management pack is available to users of both Skyline vRealize Operations Cloud and on its on-prem instance through vRealize Cloud Universal. And with that, let's sort of just transition to talk about how you can get even more value out of Skyline's integration within vRealize Operations Cloud by surfacing Skyline specific alerts with its custom dashboard capabilities. As you know, vRealize Operations Manager as well as vRealize Operations Cloud has some very useful dashboards right out of the box that address several key questions, including how you can troubleshoot your VMs, the workload distribution of your hosts, clusters, and data stores, as well as the capacity of your data centers. But there may be times when you may need something to address a specific use case, and vRealize Operations Cloud can actually accommodate that with unique widgets and views that can display alerts, object lists, health charts, heat maps, scorecards, as well as capacity and time remaining. And these are just a few of the widgets right now. As a matter of fact, there are over 40 widgets and views that can actually be combined to create pretty much anything that you can imagine. And so for my demonstration, I'm actually going to show how you can recreate one of Skyline's dashboards and even add a bit of customization to it. Now on to the demo. Here's a dashboard that we're going to recreate. It's the Skyline Alerts Detail dashboard that allows you to see alerts specific to VMs, vCenters, hosts, and clusters. And to confirm, because this is out-of-the-box content, this dashboard can't be edited or deleted, but that's okay. We're going to recreate it by taking advantage of the Alert List widget. I'm going to add 3 of them. They will show alerts for VMs, hosts, and vCenters respectively. I'll rename my first widget to reflect that it will only show Skyline-specific alerts for VMs. And to assure that it does this, I'll need to apply some output filters. First, I'll need to specify that I only want to see alerts for my VMs, and I'll do this by specifying the object type. And as I scroll down to virtual machines, notice the ton of filter options that I have. You can do a lot with this. Now I'll need to specify that I only want to see alerts related to Skyline, so I'll select the Skyline alert type. While I'm here, I can also add other filters, including status, if I only want to see alerts that are open, control state, if I only want to see alerts assigned to me, criticality, if I only want to see critical alerts, impact, if I only want to see alerts related to risk, and actions, which is helpful if I want to see alerts that have an action associated with them. I'll repeat the process to create a widget that filters alerts for hosts and vCenters and save them. Of course, these widgets can be modified even more. I can move them around, I can widen them, and I can even add additional columns such as ownership in case I want to see if the alert has been assigned to someone. Once complete, the dashboard can be shared to various internal groups or even exported to be shared with a larger community of vRealize Operations Cloud users. Which leads me to my next point. vRealize Operations Cloud dashboards can be imported as well. Simply go to the vRealize Sample Exchange to explore and download community content related specifically for this service. Now I'm going to demonstrate how you can get even more value out of Skyline's integration with vRealize Operations Cloud by modifying alerts. I'm actually going to show how you can do this with user-defined symptoms, and more importantly, how you can add user-defined recommendations that can actually automate the remediation of these findings and alerts. As you know, both Skyline and vRealize Operations Cloud help you monitor and troubleshoot potential issues related to the health of the environments that you manage. And a big part of that management process uses findings from Skyline and alerts within vRealize Operations Cloud. And as you saw earlier, Skyline's management pack for vRealize Operations Cloud can actually help you streamline that process. But at the end of the day, that's still a lot of alerts, right? And these alerts are going to consistently grow as we constantly expand on our findings catalog with each update to the Skyline service. Which actually leads me to another point, right? If you've spent any time at all with monitoring solutions, you know that alert fatigue is real. And so with that, what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to show you how you can alleviate some of that alert fatigue by showing how you can automate the remediation of Skyline specific alerts within vRealize Operations Cloud. We're going to show how you can customize those alerts to minimize the actual number themselves, and even show how you can send notifications to the larger team when those alerts do appear. Now on to the demo. Before I get into creating the alert and applying automation to it, I'm going to enable the vRealize Orchestrator Management Pack. And if you've already installed the Management Pack for Skyline, it's a very similar process. While in vRealize Operations Cloud, go to the Administration tab and you can find it in the repository. Now, I'm enabling this Management Pack because it comes with quite a few of the actions that I'll be able to leverage, such as manage snapshots, decommission a host, and apply host security configuration rules, which will play an important role in this particular workflow here. Okay, so now that the pack has been enabled, let's go into Skyline. Now again, in a previous Day 2 workflow session, I showed how you can use scripting and CLI tools to automate Skyline findings and remediation specific to NTP issues. Now I'm going to show how that same finding can be remediated with vRealize Operations Cloud when the Orchestrator Management Pack is enabled. So I'm going to do a keyword search, and there's my finding. And when I click on one of the affected objects, I'm taken to vRealize Operations Cloud, where the Skyline finding appears as an alert, thanks to the fact that the Skyline Management Pack is enabled. As you can see, vRealize Operations Cloud has 2 recommendations for this Skyline finding, but nothing that automates remediation. But that's okay. I can easily open my vSphere client and manually solve the issue. But I'm happy to say, there's another way. I can create a custom alert that focuses on this issue, complete with unique symptoms to minimize that alert fatigue that I was talking about, and even have it apply an action to that recommendation that actually will resolve the alert. So let's do that. I'll go directly to the alert definition and clone it. I'll give it a unique name. I can also specify wait and cancel cycles if I want to adjust the sensitivity of the alert. Increasing these numbers means that the alert will not be triggered until the condition has been seen X amount of successive times, and it will not cancel until that same alert is no longer seen for X amount of successive times. I can even add additional predefined symptoms related to NTP by taking advantage of the vRealize Operations Cloud intuitive drag and drop interface. I can do the same for recommendations as well. But in this case, I'm going to create a custom recommendation that automates remediation. I'll give it a description and leverage Orchestrator to apply a predefined action. Apply host security configuration rules. I can even specify policies associated with this alert. As you know, policies are important to effective alert management. It helps reduce alert noise by limiting alert triggers to objects that need them, such as risk alerts for production centers. So as part of the alert creation process, I can manage which policies appear to the alert definition as I create it, rather than by going into the policy afterwards. Now for the super cool part. I can send alert notifications to the ServiceNow ticketing system to create incidents via the ServiceNow plugin. And finally, while it's been possible to post alerts to Slack via REST notifications, vRealize Operations Cloud now natively supports it with its own Slack notifications plugin, giving you an end-to-end process for all of your IT service management needs. Now let's go back to the alert definition that I created. Instead of 2 recommendations, it now has 3, and one of them is actionable within vRealize Operations Cloud. And that completes the demo. And I want to remind everyone that all Skyline customers are eligible for a free 30-day trial of vRealize Operations Cloud. And if you want to test these workflows yourself, log into Skyline and click that Sign Up button within the Operational Overview card that appears on the Skyline dashboard. And with that, I'm going to conclude today's webinar. And if you're not already using the service, I encourage you all to adopt on the spot and start using it today. And if you have additional questions, be sure to check out the links on this page. Have a good one.